So this is a really huge start. I mean, overall, this deal is actually a pretty big deal. It's a huge deal. But there could be a little bit more that could be added to it. I kind of agree a little bit, but overall, it's a great deal. It really is. Let's get into this. Finally, 2 years of posturing and Trump kind of playing the strong man. Believe it or not, he's proven just now that the strong man tactics that he's been using against China worked for the most part. From NBC News, U.S. and China sign Phase 1 of trade deal after almost 2 years of tit for tat. Going after each other's throats, putting tariffs. Well, I'll put tariffs on you. Well, then we'll put tariffs on you. Well, we're not going to buy the agriculture that we said that we were going to buy from you earlier. Well, now we're going to up the tariffs more. It's just been crazy. Well, now we have something. You cannot steal our freedom, Larry Kudlow, White House senior economic advisor, said, noting the deal's emphasis on preventing theft of intellectual property. And that is the biggest part that I believe in the deal that a lot of people seem to be overlooking when they report it. If China adheres to it and really does give criminal penalties for Chinese companies and individuals stealing American intellectual property, that's huge because China has been doing that for a long time. President Donald Trump and Chinese Vice Premier Liu He, President Donald Trump and Chinese Vice Premier Liu He signed Phase 1 of a hard-fought trade deal Wednesday, capping a bitter 18-month battle between the world's two largest economies that has roiled markets and slowed economic growth worldwide. It has. And Wall Street is clicking their heels right now. They are jumping for joy. They're happy. We'll see what happens. President Trump has shown us that tough negotiation as the means to the end works, Larry Kudlow, White House senior economic advisor, said. This is huge. Nothing like this in history has ever happened before. And it will be huge. I really hope that China adheres to the intellectual property criminal charges clause in it. That would be huge. That would increase American income because now our intellectual property is being kept within the copyright laws which it was intended to be in. While specific details of the 86-page document have yet to be disclosed, the White House said the $200 billion trade deal includes up to $50 billion in agricultural purchase targets from the Chinese, a pledge to purchase another $78 billion in U.S. manufactured goods such as cars, aircraft, and farm machinery, $53 billion in U.S. oil and gas purchases, $40 billion in financials and other services, and increased protections for U.S. intellectual property. So all in all, looks pretty darn good. Now, obviously, we're going to get to a dissenting opinion here in a minute, and I absolutely welcome dissenting opinions. That said, you guys give me your opinion. Do you think this deal is lacking, or is it the bee's knees? Do we need to do nothing else? This is freaking fantastic as it is. It's a good deal. It's a good deal. Don't get me wrong. It's a good deal, and it's a great, wonderful start. Maybe we can build on it a little bit. It kind of really depends on how adherent to it China will be, quite honestly, I think, in my opinion. But there are people out there who know a hell of a lot more than I do that are watching this right now. Give us your opinion. Wall Street cheered the long-awaited deal with the Dow Jones Industrial Average rising by almost 200 points midday Wednesday to breach the 29,000 mark again, and all three major indices hitting record highs. The tit-for-tat has weighed heavily on markets for the last 18 months. It has. Nobody's known what to do. I dabble a little bit in the stock market, and it's been a little bit weird. But hopefully this will smooth things out and the economy can improve even further. God, I don't know what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to have to stay away from any topic having to do with the economy this year, because anything they do with the economy is going to be thrown in their face. The economy is good. And all Trump has to do is swing everything back to the economy, and he's going to have himself a really big talking point. The economy is doing really well. Let's see. As companies and traders parsed the bluster from both sides. While Trump dismissed the standoff in May as nothing but a little squabble, The International Monetary Fund predicted the trade war would damage global growth by 0.1% by 0.1 percentage points this year, and $1 trillion has already been wiped off global markets. Wow, it's a lot of money, man. Not everyone was won over by the Phase 1 agreement, and here comes the dissenting opinion. With some economists saying that after almost 2 years of posturing, the actual commitments eked out in the deal do not go far enough. And quite honestly, I mean, really, this guy's opinion kind of seems almost like a I don't care what would have happened, I would have found something wrong with it report. But he's also kind of right in a little bit. Let's read it. It doesn't include anything that is related to the entire issues surrounding Huawei, 5G, export controls, or a host of new technologies, Jacob Kierkegaard, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, said. There's nothing here concerning Chinese subsidies, which he's right, but the full report hasn't really been released, but the general overview of it doesn't show anything about Chinese subsidies or anything about controlling the exports of, how shall we say, without YouTube coming on my behind, things that are meant to look like other things and mimic other things and are not, and also on top of that, kind of exporting things to places that are not supposed to be exported to. Good God, I hope I just explained that well. Let's see. There's nothing here concerning, and that's the big mission, yeah. If you're worried about China as a long-term tech competitor, you need to stop them from frickin' stealing our property, our intellectual property, number one. Then clearly the logic of that argument rests with the fact that the Chinese are rigging the system through state-owned subsidies. And for a long time, people have been saying, well, China is condoning all these intellectual property thefts. While the U.S. delegation was able to extract certain commitments from the Chinese side, such as access to its financial sector and criminal penalties for intellectual property theft, which, I don't know. China says it. We'll see if they hold to it. We'll see what kind of penalties. We'll see if they use it to take out people that are more apt against the government. Use it as a weapon, basically, for the government. China has a history of doing that. The Phase 1 deal does not fundamentally alter China's economic business model as Trump originally sought when he slapped tariffs on Beijing in July of 2018. The deal does not, for example, address or change China's state subsidy of the agricultural sector, leaving U.S. farmers to wonder what they have gained after months of punishing tariffs that destroyed their margins and contributed to bankruptcies worldwide. Oh, well, hopefully it will be an improvement, especially if China says that it's going to purchase more agriculture from the United States. The United States is a large exporter of agriculture. In addition, thornier issues, such as the enforcement of forced technology transfer, wherein China withholds access to its markets to companies who do not pass along their private technology. A tit for tat. Give us a little bit of info on your technology and you're allowed to have access to the Chinese market, which is a huge market. I mean, let's face it, anybody who invests anything knows that China's a huge market. And so companies are willing to give little tidbits, leak little tidbits of their technology to China to have access to that market. Have been relegated to the second phase of the trade deal. So they're not dealing with that during the first phase. So they're kind of saying that. So the way I understand it is this, and it seems confusing, I know, and it is confusing. Phase 1 says that China will add intellectual property criminal charges for theft of intellectual property. But then in the same breath, this part right here, which is kind of the same idea, it's strong-arm theft of intellectual property, saying, hey, you want access to this huge market behind me, you've got to give me a little something, or you're not going to have access. And access to the Chinese market is huge. It's huge. It's a huge market. Let's see, but they're not going to handle that until phase 2, which is not likely to be resolved until after the U.S. presidential election, so 2020. So that's up in the air. If we change presidents, who knows what's going to happen there? Crappy timing. Crappy timing. Secretary of the Treasurer, Stephen Mnuchin, even good Lord, I'm having difficulty today. Even intimidated that phase 2 could include phases 2A, 2B, and 2C, telling NBC on Wednesday, Nancy Pelosi's famous 2 words, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see, everything is we will see, we will see, we will see, let's see, maybe, let's see. Oh, anyways, what are your opinions on this deal? I know I fumbled through this. It has been a long day. I've got a lot going on. A lot of hospital stuff, a lot on my mind. So forgive me for fumbling through it like I did, but we got through it to the end. I appreciate your time and your patience, and I appreciate your opinions. And a thumbs up would be pretty cool, too. So, all right. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys on the next one.